Coming up on OU Nightly, we're going to talk about rainfall this weekend for your spring game forecast. I'll have all the details and more.
And we remember April 19th, 1995. Plus, crime scene tape outside former President Trump's trial will tell you what happened. This is OU Nightly.
Thanks for watching OU Nightly. I'm Stone Weber.
And I'm Ireland Fitzer. We begin tonight with a look at the spring game forecast. And Stone, it's not exactly football weather.
It's not Ireland. And OU Nightly meteorologist Chloe Arroyo joins us now. And your weekend plans might have to change. Chloe?
Stone, Ireland, you are spot on. This weekend is not looking ideal in terms of weather. In fact, we'll see some rainfall heading into tomorrow. This is a look at our moisture setup heading into Texas and Oklahoma as of right now, setting us up perfectly for rainfall heading into tomorrow. Our tailgate forecast will be just here in a bit, but we're also going to include our spring game forecast, cooler days ahead, and our April stats coming up here in a bit. I have all the details coming up.
Thank you, Chloe. Now, OU Nightly brings you team coverage of the Remembrance Ceremony at the Oklahoma City National Memorial and Museum. Hundreds gathered in the heart of the capital city this morning, our crews among them. We begin with OU Nightly's Kaylee Carnine.
9 years since that fateful day in Oklahoma City on April 19th, 1995. A day born in hate, but now remembered for the community's resiliency and the survivors' courageousness. The sound of silence, the sight of 168 chairs. Survivors and songs, families and faith.
May the God of hope fill you with all joy and all peace as you place your trust in him.
Government officials focused on good.
Our people banded together in a manner unique to Oklahoma. That legacy lives on. And it lives in each of us that call Oklahoma home. The Oklahoma standard didn't stop at the borders of our state. It affected the nation.
The 168 names of the victims read aloud by their family members.
Aaron M. Coverdale. My brother, Antonio Ansara Cooper, Jr.
And after the ceremony, survivors like Paul Canick shared their stories.
I had lived, I had a great life so far. I was married, had an awesome wife with several years, and those kids just never had a chance.
Oklahoma City remembers and honors those who were killed, those who survived, and those changed forever. In Oklahoma City, Kaylee Carnine, OU Nightly. Thanks, Kaylee. And in that sea of people pausing to remember our individual stories of survival and unfortunately heartbreak, memories of loved ones lost, OU Nightly's Abigail Franklin has one of those stories.
The last thing she told me was, "Don't forget me, I love you."
Last words remembered.
That day I drove her to work because I could park free.
Final moments relived.
She would try and park under the tree when she had to park.
Every April 19th, Onita Johnson remembers her mom, Norma Jean, a secretary on the 3rd floor of the Alfred P. Murrah building.
She was everybody's friend.
A friend this daughter wants everyone to remember. On this day that was born out of hatred.
We need to remember the lives that they touched. We need to remember what anger and evil can do, so that we don't forget and we keep fighting to try and promote peace and happiness and love.
And to realize that behind every chair, there is a story.
She was just a typical mom.
Thank you, Abby. In this morning's crowd, lots of young Oklahomans there with school groups as the memorial and museum continues to make sure the story of April 19th is never forgotten. OU Nightly's Kaylee Fan caught up with 2 sets of middle schoolers and talked with them as they paid their respects.
On this day of remembrance, Little Axe middle schoolers are honoring the 168 victims of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building bombing in their own way by laying flowers and handwriting 168 letters to each of the victims, including the youngest, Miss Bailey Allman, who would have turned 30 yesterday.
Keeping memories alive.
Like all people say, memories can hold very much good power.
And honoring legacies.
They are remembered, they are loved, their legacy will, live on.
A group of Norman middle schoolers also at the ceremony.
It will mean a lot knowing that there are other people thinking about them and know how bad it feels to lose someone close.
To let those who were killed, those who survived, and those who were changed forever know that they are not alone and that the next generation will never forget.
It's important for us to let the families know that we're here for them.
No matter how much younger you get, you should still learn about the bombing of your state or country.
I would hope that they feel remembered and that they have hope that future generations will never let this happen again.
They search the field of empty chairs, carefully looking for the correct names so the victims' families can see the letters and flowers. These Little Axe students want to make sure they give the respect the victims deserve and honor their memories.
All these chairs that you see before you, that these are lives of people, innocent people that have been taken. Their lives been taken and need to be remembered and respected.
At the Oklahoma City National Memorial and Museum, Kaylee Fan, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Kaylee. And outside the museum on the ground of the National Memorial stands what is known as the Survivor Tree. It's a symbol of hope. And today, like every year past, members of the Oklahoma Forestry Service stood outside the museum, making sure those who wanted to would have something to remember today by. OU Nightly's Noah Mack has the story of the seeds of survival.
Well, Morgan, it's obviously a very solemn atmosphere here at the National Memorial. But when the day is done, this tree behind me will still stand as a symbol of hope. And its caretaker of 29 years is taking a bow. Take a look. During the ceremony's annual 168 seconds of silence, all that could be heard was the leaves of the survivor tree, rustling in the Oklahoma wind. It was severely damaged on that fateful day 29 years ago, and now the Oklahoma State Forester who cared for it from the beginning is retiring at the end of this month.
This obviously has been a big part of my life.
And every anniversary, Mark hands out saplings taken from the survivor's tree to spread its sentiment beyond the gates of the memorial.
So the tree is this iconic symbol of hope and healing and getting beyond tragedy.
Tragedy that goes beyond what happened here.
I lost my brother almost 5 years ago.
Guinevere Jones, a member of the Junior ROTC, lost her brother to gun violence and says she will plant her sapling in his memory. And other trees will travel across the country.
Jody, like she said, is from Ohio.
I'm taking this to Ohio, and I'm going to plant it and give it a whirl.
And Maddie is going back to Colorado, so that one will go to Colorado.
And as for Mark, he will also take home a piece of his hard work, a surprise gift he got at this year's 29th Remembrance Ceremony.
A piece of the survivor tree was given to a renowned Oklahoma knife maker, and so they made a knife out of the handle out of the piece of the survivor tree.
29 years of service, and that sense of purpose shines brighter than ever in Mark's heart.
I mean, it's just an honor to play my part.
Well, Mark is not going away. He's going to stick around and help out wherever he can. And I've got my sapling here from this morning that I'm honored to take with me after my graduation from the University of Oklahoma. So reporting live from Oklahoma City, Noah Mack, OU Nightly.
Thank you, Noah. On this April 19th, another story of violence half a world away as tensions continue to rise in the Middle East. OU Nightly's Rachel Mosshammer has that and the rest of today's national and international headlines from the News Center.
U.S. officials confirmed that Israel has carried out a military strike on Iran, hitting a military base near Isfahan last night. The strike comes just hours after Iran released a statement that they would retaliate if Israel carried out such acts. In a phone call with Israel's prime minister last week, President Biden urged restraint. However, the White House says today that they do not have a comment on the strikes at this time. Jury selection for Donald Trump's hush money trial is now complete, with 12 jurors and 6 alternates selected. An appeals court just denied Trump's request to pause the trial over claims that jury selection was unfairly rushed. Trump telling media that the trial is, quote, a giant witch hunt. Opening statements start Monday. Officials say that a man lit himself on fire outside of the courthouse holding Trump's trial today. NYPD says that the man threw pamphlets in the air that held conspiracy propaganda before setting himself on fire earlier this morning. The man, whose identity has not yet been released, remains in critical condition at this time. And back in D.C., the House voted Friday in a bipartisan manner to advance a key foreign aid package for Ukraine and Israel, setting up a Senate vote as soon as Saturday. Stone, Ireland.
Thanks, Rachel. OU football will be back in action tomorrow at the Palace on the Prairie for the first time all year.
What you can expect from the big game coming up in just a few minutes. Plus, get your rain gear ready for this weekend. I'll have the spring game forecast and more coming up next.
I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear. Call me Papa Bear, because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes, good job.
So, what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
See, Smokey thinks I'm funny.
There's so many rewards in life. You coming into our home was one of the greatest rewards we could have ever had.
You know, it took 20 years, and I got my third child, who was 17 at the time.
It's so cool to watch the adult that you've become, and you really have done as much for us as you think we've done for you.
Water is our most precious resource, and something that should be conserved and used wisely. Here is a water conservation tip you can try. In the bathroom, if your shower can fill a 1-gallon bucket in less than 20 seconds, replace the shower head with a water-efficient one. They are cheap, easy to install, and can save you up to 750 gallons a month. Water is life. This message was brought to you by the City of Norman.
Well, thanks for joining us here at OU Nightly. We're looking at our Weather Center cam directed towards campus. A lot of people are out and about, but we saw those clouds this morning, and we saw wind gusts upwards of 35 miles an hour. That's since calmed down quite a bit, and we warmed up a little bit, up to 64 degrees as it stands. The Metro, pretty similar as it stands. Oklahoma City 64 as well. Kingfisher sitting at 62. Now the entire country right now, we're seeing this cold blast for April. I will say it's not the coldest we could be, but for April, pretty below average, especially getting into next week. So this is going to push further down south starting this weekend. So you'll begin to feel that during your game day forecast. This is a look at our water vapor. So you can see the moisture in Texas moving into Oklahoma. That's setting us up real nicely for the chance for rain. Non-severe rainfall, so not dangerous, but rather disruptive, especially considering the game being tomorrow. Here's your tailgate forecast for it will be cloudy, lower 50s heading into tomorrow kickoff. We'll see that rain begin to pick up a little bit more. We'll see some more widespread, moderate rainfall around halftime, persisting into the rest of the game and unfortunately throughout the rest of the afternoon and evening. So just timing this out for you on your future cast. We'll see this on radar. We'll see a little bit of a break before we get into Saturday morning. Those scattered showers, those might track a little further south, so we might not have to worry about them nearly as much. Here's that break during your tailgate time, and then once the game starts, that's unfortunately when the rain is going to begin to pick up around 2 o'clock onward into the afternoon, evening. This is Saturday, 8 p.m. And then Sunday morning, we'll see those showers here and there, but very isolated, very few and far from. So expected rainfall totals, not much heading into tomorrow. We'll see it really begin to pick up around Ardmore, southern Oklahoma, Norman. projected to get not even 0.2 of an inch. So the flooding risk is minimal to none heading into tomorrow. Now here's a little tidbit of information. Dubai has seen more rainfall than Norman has in the month of April. In fact, Dubai has seen double the amount that they would see in a calendar year. Quite the interesting fun fact for this week and for this month, considering how much rainfall we usually see in April. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. We have much in the way of activity throughout the rest of this week. Something to keep in mind, the biggest thing, the spring game. So are you guys going?
We'll be there. I'll be there. Hopefully, I have to bring an umbrella, it sounds like, but not too much rain. I think that's a good thing, right?
Right. Nothing in terms of flooding, but you know, just a little disruptive.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to go and see our Sooners in action, but thanks, Chloe, for the update on that weather.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and just like we were saying, tomorrow OU football is playing their first game in the Palace since November.
Up next in Big Friday Sports, we'll have a live report with all the details about this year's spring game. Stick.
Water is our most precious resource and something that should be conserved and used wisely. Here are some water conservation tips you can try. In the kitchen, collect the excess water you use to rinse produce and use it to water houseplants. Also, soak your pots and pans instead of letting the water run while you scrape them. Water is life. This message was brought to you by the City of Norman. Did you know that items like paint, cleaning solutions, pesticides, solvents, and other chemicals are considered household hazardous waste? These chemicals are dangerous to our environment and water quality when they are dumped in our storm drains or gutters. Fortunately, the City of Norman has a dedicated household hazardous waste facility where you can properly dispose of these items. Call 405-366-5463 to make an appointment. For more information, visit bit.ly/Norman Stormwater.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Welcome back to Big Friday Sports. I'm Stone Weber.
And I'm Britton Ross. Tomorrow afternoon, OU football takes the field for their annual spring game. But a spring game in Oklahoma comes with spring weather in Oklahoma. OU Nightly's Kenzie Eisman is outside the stadium with an update on tomorrow's kickoff.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, the spring game for tomorrow has been moved from 1 to 2:30, like you said, due to weather. But regardless of that, Team 130 has been prepping for this game and also for the next step in that next level of moving into the SEC against future opponents. Quarterback and Danny Stutzman and Jackson Arnold are thrilled to show what this new squad's all about.
Oh, absolutely, man. It's a very high-powered offense. You know, obviously the tempo is no surprise, and Jackson's a very, he's a unique player, man. The way he has that arm strength, the way he can just continue to use his legs to make plays on the field. And there's so many explosive weapons on that offense. Bring a guy like Bauer Sharp and Deion Burks to come in there and just make plays. And all the running backs that we have, it's deep all over the place. I'm really impressed with the way they've performed and just excited to kind of have another attempt to just go at them. There's been so much competition throughout this entire spring process. I'm really excited to be in front of the fans and really show all this hard work that we've done.
Last year, there was some bust defensively in the spring and some certain things they weren't running right. And this year, all their twists are right and their stunts, things they're running defensively, disguising coverages. It all looks fluid. Like they're not messing up this year, and it shows. I mean, if they're firing all cylinders, it makes it tough on our O-line, makes it tough on my reads. They're an experienced bunch, and they're having a really good spring.
Weather won't rain on the Sooners parade tomorrow with that hour-and-a-half pushback, but the team has painted a memorial in honor of Toby Keith on the field as well. Reporting live, Kenzie Eiserman, OU Nightly.
Yeah, thanks, Kenzie. Hopefully the weather doesn't dampen the Sooners' spring plans too much, but one Sooner will not be in action on Saturday. Linebacker and safety Justin Harrington plans to enter the transfer portal, as reported earlier today by Sooner Scoop. Harrington appeared in 15 games for OU, recording 29 tackles and 2 interceptions.
He may not be there, but former TCU defensive lineman Dominic Williams will be here in Norman for the spring game this weekend. Williams has 60 tackles in his career, including 4.5 sacks. He will also visit Texas, LSU, Colorado, Missouri, and Oregon.
College football rule changes announced today by the NCAA with major implications on the game. Helmet communication has been approved, with one player on the field for each team having contact with the coach. The NCAA panel also approved of automatic timeouts with 2 minutes left in the second and fourth quarters.
OU women's gymnastics competed in Fort Worth Thursday night for a chance to go to the NCAA Finals for the 13th time. OU Nightly's Darby McCormick was in Texas and has the details.
After an undefeated regular season, the OU women's gymnastics team lost in the NCAA semifinal and did not advance to the national championship. They recorded their lowest vault score since 2008. Head coach KJ Kindler says that despite the rough start, she encouraged her team to fight the uphill battle.
I think after balance beam, I brought them together and said I wanted them to finish on their own terms and to finish this meet on their own terms, that they needed to go till the very end and keep fighting, and they definitely did that on floor.
With 7 seniors on this team, they will graduate with a cap and gown, but no three-peat to the national title.
And this is a tough moment to end your career on, no matter what. Many of those women will live to do gymnastics another day, but many of them won't. And so I told them in the circle, this is very character building. We've won with pride. We have to lose with pride.
Despite this loss, certain Sooners did not come home empty-handed. Faith Torres and Audrey Davis now share the title as the NCAA beam champions, and Davis walks away as the NCAA bars champion. While this loss is a tough pill to swallow for both the team and the fans, head coach KJ Kindler encourages those watching to have faith in this Oklahoma women's gymnastics team.
You gotta be with your teams through the good and through the bad, and sometimes it's not always going to end the way you want, but we hope they'll stick with us, of course.
Despite this devastating loss, the team is holding their heads high and looking forward to this upcoming season, which can include the collegiate quad meet at the Paycom Center in OKC. Reporting from the Dickies Arena, Darby McCormick, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Darby. Not the ending women's gymnastics was looking for, but the men's team has a chance to make history once again. The number 2 seeded Sooners compete in the second qualifying session tonight at 6 p.m. And keep an eye on Emery Dodonley. He has the 5 highest floor exercise scores, not just on the team, but in the entire country, with 5 scores of 14.9 or better. And no other gymnast in the country has a higher score than 14.8.
With the delay to the spring game comes a postponement for the latest Sooner statue. OU softball head coach Patty Gasso was scheduled for a statue unveiling at Loves Field before the spring game. The 7-time national champion will have to wait, with no date for the unveiling set.
Moving to the circle, number 2 OU softball hosts a Big 12 series against the Houston Cougars starting tonight. And Houston has had a big problem of late, losing 7 in a row and just a 3-15 record in conference play. Jada Coleman's looking to build on her 30-game on-base streak. First pitch at Loves Field is tonight at 6 p.m.
Over on the mound, OU baseball faced BYU in Provo Thursday night in the first game of their 3-game series. Pitcher Braden Davis threw 6 1/3 innings, striking out 11 batters. The offense scored 10 runs on 12 hits as the Sooners go on to beat the Cougars 10-8. Game 2 is tonight at 7 p.m.
And after tonight, the Sooners have one final game in Provo tomorrow before a 4-game homestand where they play Wichita State this Tuesday. Then the Texas Longhorns come to town for a Red River rivalry matchup. Up next, they'll take a trip to T-Town for a battle with Oral Roberts, and they'll start the month of May on the road against the Red Raiders. And now to the hardwood, the 405 is gearing up for postseason basketball once again. The Thunder are back in the NBA playoffs for the first time since 2020 and back at home for the first time since 2019.
And they're the 1 seed for the first time since 2013, but they still don't know their opponent just yet. The Pelicans and the Kings face off tonight for the 8 seed, and their winner will head to the 405 for a Sunday night matchup in Game 1.
Is we're not starting from scratch on any of these teams. We have a familiarity with them. They have a familiarity with us. So, we're not going in cold. We've played these teams recently. We've played them multiple times over the course of years. So we We know their personnel. We know their tendencies. They know ours. And then we'll start the series and see what happens.
Looking around the league, Trae Young and the Hawks got bullied by the Bulls Wednesday, 131-116. Now staying in the East, Buddy Hield will be playing in his 87th game this year on Saturday when the Sixers travel to Madison Square Garden to take on the Knicks. In the most recent Sooner, Austin Reeves and his Lakers look to pull off a massive upset against the Nuggets.
Well, Oklahoma is no stranger to Hall of Fame coaches, but what do they do after they retire? OU Nightly's Brooke Griggs has the story on how one former Sooners head coach spends her free time.
Although Sherri Coale has retired as OU women's basketball coach, she has become an icon for women's sports across the nation, winning 6 Big 12 championships, appearing in 3 Final Fours, and becoming a member of the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. Makes it no surprise Sherri's love for competing didn't stop at retirement.
I called a piano teacher and a tennis coach because there are 2 things that I'd always wanted to do. I wanted to learn to play the piano, and I wanted to learn how to play tennis because I really enjoyed watching tennis, but had never played and knew nothing about it. And the tennis coach called me back before the piano teacher did, and I will never learn to play piano because now I spend all my time playing tennis.
Sherri Coale's ball handling skills don't stop at basketball. Moving from one court to another, she's picked up a new hobby, one with quite a smaller ball.
It takes me back to what I loved about becoming a basketball player, which was I could take the ball and go to the gym and get better. All I had to do was focus and do things over and over again. And I liked the heart of that. I liked the heart of that with tennis.
Sherri is no stranger to competing in front of crowds from the pressure the head coach used to face.
It's not like anybody's at the Westwood watching me hit a tennis ball. It's not about that. It's about me hitting that forehand with the right topspin at the right time. What I love about it is it reminds me a lot of practicing basketball as a kid. I know with tennis you need somebody to hit it back to you unless you have a wall or you're practicing serves, but there's something about the grind of doing it over and over again.
Reporting from Westwood Tennis Center, Brooke Griggs, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Brooke. From a Sooner legend to current Sooner stars, OU women's tennis is getting ready for their semifinal showdown against the 7th-ranked Texas Longhorns. They're looking for revenge after a narrow 4-3 loss on March 3rd. First serve is at 6 p.m. tonight.
And OU men's tennis opened up the Big 12 tournament as the 2 seed, taking on Texas Tech today. The Sooners beat the Red Raiders 4-0, advancing to the second round against TCU Saturday at 3. And before we go, Chloe, can we get one last look at that game day forecast?
Absolutely. So tomorrow, not the most ideal day in terms of weather, but we'll have that school spirit with us, so nothing going to ruin our spring game. Tailgates, we'll see some cloudy conditions, and then we'll get a little bit of isolated rain around kickoff at 2:30 before that begins to ramp up around halftime and at the end of the game. So 3 things I want you to pack: your umbrella, your rain gear, as well as that school spirit. Back to you guys.
Thanks for watching Big Friday Sports. I'm Britton Ross.
And Stone Weber. Have a fun and safe football-filled weekend. We'll leave you with the image of OU football's tribute to Toby Keith. Good night.
Winter is upon us, and every Oklahoman knows that means unpredictable freezing temperatures. One of the main concerns with freezing temperatures is the damage they can cause to your home or business should they